Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Shashank Sharma, and on behalf of ScoreMe Solutions Private Limited, I would like to welcome you all. Um, Also, a very warm welcome to all the fresh attendees who are joining us for the first time today, and a very pleasant welcome to the existing joiners who were there with us in the previous webinars as well. So today's topic is on digital customer journey and integrated credit appraisal reports. What is the way forward of these two topics, and also that are fintechs in a position to give an answer for these two particular topics. So before I start with the session, I will just like to introduce ScoreMe Solutions to you. So we are basically a fintech company which operates in the lending space, and we provide our financial algorithms to the BFSI domains clients in the country with respect to bank statements, ITR, GST, financial statements, and online KYCs. So all these can be used up, as single service offerings as well as a holistic service module for your integrated reports. So the flow for today's session will be that we will be having this presentation. And meanwhile, if you have any questions regarding any of the topics, so you can just post your questions in the Q&A section. And once we finish with the subject presentation, we will take up all the question and answers one by one. So before I start with the basic presentation, so let's start off with the first topic, which is basically on integrated credit appraisal. Which is nowadays we say that it is a must to have ingredient in the credit appraisal process. As evaluators to any of the credit applicant or a borrower, we all are using different modes of appraisal techniques. Now, some are still using the orthodox way of credit appraisal, which is on the credit history of the customer. Some have taken a step forward and have inducted technology to an extent that they are now being able to use those technology streams to take decisionable insights for the customers. But still, this journey is untouched by a majority of us. And what we do believe is that if we are able to reach towards this stage, then this will certainly act as a key enabler to increase your efficiency, and also will act as a key enabler in taking instant decisions with respect to the appraisal of a customer. So before we go deep into this particular topic, I'll just like to throw some light on what is a integrated credit appraisal and what different components can be there for the lending industry in India today. So it is basically mapping of different analysis reports into a consolidated report, which enables your team or you to take an informed call on the customer, number one. Then it also is basically that today we must be using different algorithms or different types of analysis for our customers, which are spread across in different parts. Now, our credit appraisal policy may include all of them, but it is not holistically present there, and they are not being linked to each other so that we can take a deep dive into the credit report of a customer and then take the call for a credit. Now, the components of our credit appraisal report, be with respect to retail or with respect to a business loan, will revolve around these components which are illustrated here. The very first is the bank statement analysis. Now, we will not discuss on what are these components and how is the analysis of these components being done. That's already been covered across, and I think most of us have mutually agreed to this stage that yes, these type of analysis is available in the market and can be used instantly. The second stream is the ITR analysis. Third is a financial statement analysis, which includes your balance sheets and P&Ls and other records from the ROCs. Then GSTR analysis, online KYCs, which may be with respect to registration or with respect to identity of any individual. Then you have a legal background check and a negative news of the applicant. Now, if you will take your credit appraisal journey, majority of the appraisal, I would say 90% of the parameters of your credit policy must be coming from all these streams. Now, there can be some quantitative parameters which can vary from customer to customer. But yes, majority, these parameters are the ones which are studied to take a decision on the credit for a retail or a business loan proposal. So how do we combine all these parameters into a structured report so that today we can take a decision which is not just relying on a single parameter, but it relies on multiple parameters coming from different types of output reports. And on the other hand, this is all technology enabled. This is not manual effort that you have to do the analysis of all these documents on a manual stream and then you will have to collate all the information. No. Today we have companies which are offering these type of solutions in a boutique manner that you can design them as per your requirements, or they are having off the shelf products which you can directly have and take a plug and play approach with those particular models. So in this presentation, I have basically tried to include certain scenarios which today can be used for evaluation of a business loan proposal. And then we can also discuss post this presentation if anybody is having specific doubts with respect to a specific loan product. So moving forward, let's take an example of a business loan proposal wherein you have got the bank statement of the client, you have got the GST data of the client, along with the balance sheets and other financial statements as well. So using an orthodox manner, you will study the GST data, you will study the bank statement report separately, and you would like to take a call on the whether the applicant is a go or a no-go in your credit policy. Now, what the current parameters suggest is that when you have GST data and bank statement data, so you can always map these two streams to understand what is the reliability of the customer with respect to different documents. Now, I have just illustrated an example over here. So you can just relate to the figures so that it gives you an idea that how can this comparison be achieved. So for example, if for a customer in the month of January 2019, the sales as per his GST returns is 500 rupees. The bank statement receipts which he has got in the month of January is 600 rupees. Now you can definitely map these two streams and you can get a receipts to sales percentage. Now, which means this particular ratio will tell you what is the credit which the customer has got from the sales which he has done. Now there can be three scenarios. Either it can be less than the amount of the sales, or it can be equal to the amount of the sales, or it can be higher than the amount of the sales. Now wherever it goes higher than the amount of the sales, now that's a red flag, because then that means the customer has received certain other types of credits which are not declared in the sales. Now these can be credits for general business use as well. These can be some new loans which he has received. But yes, you can then take a deep dive into the bank statement report and understand why there is a difference of the credits. So overall, if you will see that when you do a quarterly or a yearly comparison of the GST sales and the bank statement receipts, you can definitely get to know that how much receipt the customer has got with respect to the percentage of this. And basis on this, today you will have an idea that, okay, at least this amount which is fixed in the bank statement is trustworthy. This has been fetched digitally and it has been inducted in the credit policy with a technology stream behind it. So basically, you have not used a manual human's effort to map these data points, but it is just that using technology, using different algorithms, today you have mapped two different types of data for the clients. So moving forward to the next illustration which I have made is the opposite of this. So wherein you can track what is a GST purchase versus a bank statement payments which the client has done. Now imagine a scenario that if you get an applicant for a business loan purpose who says that these are my bank statement payments which I have done for the purchases I have done. and he also gives you the invoices which his customers have raised to him. And then he says that this is the mapping which I have done at my end. But that is something which makes you rely on an information which has been declared. Now this information can be correct, but this information can be manipulated as well. So to do a check on this, what you can do is you can use a GST analysis algorithm. You can use a bank statement analysis algorithms. Now, both of these algorithms, once you use independently, will give you what is a purchase level situation as per the GST algorithm. What are the payments which the client has made? You will get it from the bank statement analysis algorithm. When you map both the streams, then is a stage where you get to know that what is the percentage which he has declared in the GST return. Wherever he has made more payments than the ones he has got the purchases, that's again a red flag. So you can even track the dates of all these purchases and the payments which are being made. Now, for example, in the month of January, the purchase made was for 400 rupees. The payments were done for 600 rupees, which may be the case that yes, there are some outstanding payments which he has cleared in the month of January, but then you can at least get to know that the January payments have 100% been cleared. On the contrary, if you look at March, even the payments for the March have not been cleared as of now. But overall quarter stands at 102.78% with respect to GST and bank statements. So this again will help you to understand what purchase and buying behavior of the client. Now, we were just looking at the buying records or the purchase, the selling records of the clients manually sitting at our end, where the client used to either give those MIS reports to us or he used to share the hard copies with us. So that entire effort used to take multiple days for a credit analyst today to derive at such a situation, and that too was an estimation which was being made. But today, with respect to digitization of these documents, you have got an enabler where you can map these two documents into a single stream, and you can directly take an input of these particular data points in your credit policy. Now, how these inputs can be used further, we will discuss in the second phase of the presentation, where we go towards the digital customer journey. But as of now, in the evaluation criteria, this is how these particular data points can be used. Now, I have also taken out some other types of examples. So for example, if you have to map the sales which he has declared in the income tax returns versus the sales which he has done as per the GST. Now, again, this is a very common phenomena which everybody who is into a credit evaluation field would like to study, that in my financial statements, what is the sales which I have declared and what is the sales which are coming down from my MIS, which was before GST, but after GST, what is the sales which is getting declared to the government. Now, when you map this, a slight variation, yes, it can be that it's not that it should match to decimal, but yes, you can then fix up a range that if it goes beyond a variation percentage of 5% or 10%, depending on your risk appetite, you can evaluate customers with more accuracy today. Now, this is where it has helped you to understand that how this can be mapped. Now, the sales figures you can get from the financial statements, from income tax returns. You can also get these from the financial statements which has been audited and the client is sharing with you. The objective is to derive sales from two figures, one from the GST, one from the financial statements. Once you have this, then you can have a algorithm setup which can map these two documents in the backend. Now, it takes very less amount of time versus a human effort to do this mapping, to fetch the data and to generate the output reports. Now, this entire process can be completed in less than 10 minutes of time. Whereas if you have to manually compare these two documents, it's a mammoth task for anybody today. So what else can be done with these integrated reports, which I'm talking about? Now, these integrated reports can give you various scenarios. You can have a comparison done between the receipts and payments of top 10 supplier and customers in GSTs and bank statements. That's another use case which you can look at. Now that again helps you to understand that the top 10 customers and suppliers of my business, which are coming from the GST returns, whether they are the same in the bank statement data as well. Number one, if they are same, is the number of invoices and the amount which is in dealing in the GST data similar to that which is reflecting in the bank statement data? That is again a very important point to look at. So this will give you in-depth clarity with respect to the behavior of the client with the suppliers and the customers. And you will also get to know what is the cycle of the client. So today, if I'm getting payments from my customers in a period of 120 days, you know that what is my cycle. And then monthly basis also, you can get to know what is the percentage cycle and how it increases. How much is it in the first month, where it has gone in the second month, where it has gone in the third month. So this helps you to classify your customer better in your policy. Another illustration which I wanted to use is basically on the related party transactions being mapped with the bank statement analysis. So anybody among us who is into a business loan evaluation, maybe for an MSME or a mid corporate or a large corporate customers, one question which comes to your mind is that a lot of transactions have been rotated in multiple accounts of the same company or with the subsidiaries of the same company, maybe between the related directors. So how do you track this information? So to track this information manually is actually, I would not say it is not possible, but yes, it takes a huge amount of time to come up with these type of inferences. But on the other hand, using a financial statement analysis algorithm, which maps the common directors between companies and then comes out with the list of the related party companies, and using a bank statement analysis algorithm, which can give you what are the transactions, be it payments or be it credits, which are being received or being made to all these related party names. So you can do a direct comparison. Today for ABC Limited, if there are 10 directors and these 10 directors are further directors in 10 other companies, now you have a list of companies which are the related companies to ABC Limited. So these 10 names, wherever they are appearing in the bank statement report of the client, you can segregate those transactions. And I would say to an extent of at least 80-85%, you will get to know what is the floating of the funds which has been done in between the subsidiaries and the parent companies. Now this cannot be 100% because yes, there are still some transactions in the bank statements where you don't get the client names. So that is a certain limitation which we have. But yes, apart from that, you can do this. Now, other streams which you can add. So basically, till now, we have seen credit appraisal being done on financial documents. But nowadays, a lot of companies are also moving into the field of inducting alternate data streams to take credit decision calls. So for example, if you're evaluating a company, but that company is being, under a legal proceedings with any of the courts in India, be it Supreme Court, High Court, District Court, NCLT, any FIRs being filed against the company is involved into anti-money laundering services, any willful defaults for that entity or the individual. All these informations are very critical when it comes to the credit call for a customer. So it is not that you are not taking these informations today, but these information points are not carrying any weightage in the credit appraisal policies. What we have is that we have a quantitative note, which usually we say it's a SWOT analysis of the customer. Over there, we do mention that these are the cases which are pending against this customer, or these are the cases which have ever been filed against this customer. But yes, majority of us are still not using these as weighted parameters in our credit appraisal policies. But when you use an integrated report, it can directly fetch the parameters of all these legal backgrounds, and it can give you a consolidation being done and directly integrated with your renewals. The last parameter which is there is a credit bureau data analysis. Now, credit bureaus, as of now, we've been using the information about any entity or any individual in our appraisal policies, but we have somehow not mapped it to the different types of output reports of the different financial statements. So for example, if we are looking at a customer who is having multiple EMIs getting debited from his account on a monthly basis versus what is the information which is there in the credit bureau report with respect to the DPDs of that client, or even if these are regular payments, are the number of EMIs which are getting debited from the bank statement similar to that which are reflecting in my credit report? If these are not same, that means that I may be hiding some bank accounts from you, from which I am servicing those EMIs. Or there have been some delays in those EMIs so that I have not declared them to you. Now, these are questions which you can ask your client once you start doing this mapping. Because till the time we are not using these alternate data streams to map these with the real-time decisioning tools on which we are taking the credit decisions, it will not help us to take this call forward. Another scenario with respect to a retail loan proposal is very simple, where for a personal loan, the banks or anybody who is evaluating a personal loan applicant today, they ask for the salary slips and the bank statements of the individual. Now, a salary slip, whether it is the salary which is there on that is authentic, which I have declared to the bank. If I'm a decent customer, yes, I will declare it. But again, there are some smart customers who always try to fudge these type of data points. Now, this information again can be mapped by using the 26AS information of your TDS versus the bank statement output report. So it tries to collate what is the salary which the individual has got in any particular financial year, who is the employer of the person. So again, this information can be very critical from a retail loans standpoint. So that is where we do believe that yes, this particular topic of integrated appraisal reports is very much the need of the hour. These integrated reports helps as evaluators to take difficult credit calls in a quick span of time. It helps you as an evaluator to map different kinds of reports in the backend. And this is all digital. There is no human intervention which is involved in doing these type of mappings. So moving on to the second part of our presentation, which is on the digital customer journey, or I would say how you can evaluate customers applying for different types of loans through a digital journey. Now that we have discussed the credit report, how it can be mapped using different types of parameters, including bank statements, GST, ITR, financial statement, KYCs, legal backgrounds, we have certainly automated one stage of my loan cycle. But there are other stages as well, which today represent the entire loan journey of a customer, which starts from an application and ends at the disbursement stage. So how do you try to automate maximum extent of this particular stage possible? Now, before we get into that, let's study what are the basic differences between a traditional approach and a new age approach today, and how it enables you as an evaluator of loan to understand the customers better. Now, in the traditional approach, your process was manual with higher customer acquisition cost, because till the time you are doing processes manual, it is bound that your the cost will be higher. Even the time which is required to process an application is higher. Versus this, today you can utilize digital footprints as a substitution of the physical documents. So the application process can be automated today. The underwriting process in the traditional approach was majorly dependent on the credit history, which we discussed in the first part of the presentation. Now in the new age, these integrated reports are taking over this. Now this reports comes with the digital platforms, and also in these customization is a major focus today. So today you are not just analyzing your customers basis on real-time data, but you are also trying to profile your customers accordingly basis on the information which comes to you in a real-time basis. Now, cooperatives on the other hands in the traditionally were relatively small and lack of competitiveness were there to attract suppliers in the market. But today, there are simple and convenient platforms which attract investments, and most of the processes are completed through digital platforms. So moving forward, the informal sector. Now there is always a focus on the informal sector of lending when we talk about any lending streams in India. In the traditional approach, your informal sectors, there was a lot of irrational credit. Now risk was very high, and there were limited funding opportunities because there was less approach in the market. The lenders was not being able to reach to the last mile of the lending cycle. Whereas using new age tools, today you can have behavioral data to identify different attributes of the customer coming from different geographies, belonging to different demographics. So the informal sector of lending has also evolved itself in a big way today. It is not that today your lending is focused to a specific geography. Today, if you want to move towards a pan-India approach, it is very much possible using all these digital platforms. So now going forward, let's understand how is a digital platform working, or what is a working model, I would say, of a digital journey. So basically, the components of a digital journey platform, which is by banks or it can be by NBFCs also, is that the in principle approval journey is 100% digital for retail and MSME loans. It's not that today you are not being able to evaluate customers in principally through these type of, yes, it is very much possible now. Now these type of processes certainly improves your efficiencies. Now when I am using technology versus a human approach, I am bound to get more efficient use cases. You can always process parallelly a number of proposals, which was not being made possible in the orthodox approach because of the lack of resources. But today technology is not dependent on the number of resources which are using it. You can have multiple parallel streams running for the evaluation of multiple customers in a single minute as well. It reduces your customer acquisition cost also, which is again a very important parameter today. Now, in fact, the phase in which we are sitting at, once we come out of this lockdown cycle, the market definitely is going to be very tough. There will be huge amount of pressures to reduce your customer acquisition cost because that's a direct expenditure which is there. So using technology, you can definitely bring it down, and using technology, you can definitely have a plug and play mode with these type of technologies. So tomorrow, if you want to take a decision that I want to go digital with my in principle journey, it's just a plug and play model. You can definitely customize it to your requirements if required, but otherwise today you can have this in a single day. You can have your platform ready and you are good to go to in principally sanction loans through an online journey. So when you go deep into this journey, you can have customized platforms for different types of loans in the portfolios, because absolutely one size will not fit all. We all agree to this particular stage. So how do you differentiate is that you can have different types of parameters in the backend to evaluate different types of loans. So for example, for a personal loan, you can have a bank statement and a salary slip analysis being used, versus a business loan where you can have bank statements, GST, financial statements, ITR, all four of them. Now, depending on the customer, you can choose which type of credit appraisal you want to do, because it is all digital. You just have to select these services will be used for these type of customers and vice versa. Now, as of now, the ones which have gone digital, they have been able to do this for a ticket size of as low as 1 lakh to as high as 10 crores. But yes, this can certainly be increased. This is not a limitation that loans falling under these ticket sizes are only the ones which can be digitally principally approved. You can have any ticket size loans, being automated. The back end of these digital platforms is nothing but different approaches. So today, if you are having a multiple screen credit appraisal process, wherein the first screen gives you a bank statement report, the second screen gives you the GST, maybe the next gives you ITR, financial statements. You can collate all these 4 screens into a single window, which enables you to take that call there itself. You don't have to refer to different reports. So in simple term, how is a new age client screening and credit appraisal happening? So we have divided it into 4 criteria. First is screen more. Now, how do you screen more? You screen more when you have instant report generation cloud platforms, which can allow customers to come on board any time of the day, all 7 days a week. It's not having a limitation with respect to time. You can directly go online and apply for a loan from anywhere. The evaluations is being done with higher accuracy. Now, how the higher accuracy is coming is, now the entire analysis of the documents of the customer is system driven. It is not a manual effort, which can still have a 0.1% error percentage in it. But these are technology algorithms which use predefined formulas to calculate those analysis reports. So you can have your bank statements, MCA reports, ITR analysis, GST analysis, online KYCs, all through a system-driven approach. Now we add a layer of automation as well. Now automation is added where you do customization of the output reports as per the rule engines for different products. You are using different techniques today to evaluate different types of customers. The same techniques can be replicated in a digital form to make it the process completely online in nature. Now the last is where we say is to lend more. How do you increase your lending cycle is where you integrate this entire process with your LMS or LOS in the backend. So today you have a STP being done in your internal process where the customer comes onto your website, he applies for a loan, he gets an option to upload or give the consents for all the documents. Then the documents are auto screened, the analysis reports are created, and the analysis reports, now this is the important point, these analysis reports don't go to the credit officers who have to then take a credit call on this. But on the contrary, these analysis reports are directly integrated in a digital structure where you can pick the parameters, and basis on your internal scores, a customer's in principle sanction can be calculated. So now what is the difference between when I say it doesn't go to the credit officer, it doesn't mean that the disbursement happens without a human intervention, because that is still too risky in the Indian domain. Once you have an in principle sanction, at least you know that your lender is comfortable in discussing with you because you are already qualified as per his or her internal policies. So today, your team will work on the filtered cases. They will not work on the cases which are not eligible as per your internal policies. So that time is already saved, and your conversion rate of lending versus the applications which come, it definitely increases with that. So moving forward, this has given birth to a lot of innovative lending models. Now, it is not just that your traditional lending approaches which were being used are automated using these digital journeys, but again, there are certain lending streams which can be completely automated basis on this digital journey of the customers. Now, you can use these streams in POS-based lending systems. Anybody who is into this particular business, you can use this for automated evaluation of bill discounting proposals. The B2B platforms, crowdfunding platforms, pay later loans, all these are working on analysis of the bank statement of an individual and the behavioral data from different public domain sites. And then a decision is being taken whether to lend or not to lend to that individual. You have your salary advance loans, which again are evaluated basis completely on your salary statements, ITR details, and the bank statements. And using these digital journeys allows you to create dedicated loan products. Now, there are a lot of banks and NBFCs in India which have created specific to a product loans using these technology algorithms. So you will find a lot of banks today are giving loans just on the basis of the GSTR analysis and the bank statement analysis. So what they require is that basis on the GST data, the turnover of the customer which is calculated, immediately 10 to 15% depending on the internal policy is sanctioned to the client as an in-principle sanction. Similarly, basis on your bank statements, basis on the averages which you maintain in a bank statement, you are again given limits from a lot of banks and NBFCs. Although these ticket sizes are still small in nature, but yes, these are growing platforms now. And going forward, these will be the ones who will be taking over the traditional approaches of the lending. So towards the end of the presentation, I just wanted to discuss that how can the evaluation for different types of loans happen. So for example, I have taken the first illustration is for a corporate loan assessment using bank statements and GST returns. Now this is similar that the sources will be the bank statements, the GST returns, and the income tax returns of the companies. You can do the assessment basis on the bank statements and GST standalone basis, which gives you the calculation of the turnover from the GST and obligations which are being there. So all my other obligations towards different types of loans which I'm repaying from my bank account is also calculated. You can do an assessment of the income from the ITR. Then is the comparison stage, now which is again system driven. You can directly calculate how much percentage of the amount calculated in GST is reflecting in your bank statements. What is the total turnover basis on the GST data and basis on the consolidated closing balance of your bank accounts. You can definitely have a variation from the income tax income if there is any, like we have discussed in the very starting, basis on your ITR sales and basis on your GSTR sales, what is the variation here. Now, depending on the security percentage which you keep, you can definitely pull the credit information reports of the clients. In the final decision step, all these assessment, comparison, and other factors are then combined and the weightages are attached to each of the parameters so that the final score of the customer is calculated. So a normal corporate loan can easily be evaluated basis the usage of these parameters to an extent of at least 85 to 90%. Now there can be other qualitative parameters in this, which as a lender you may have to evaluate, but yes, most of the work will be done for your side. Again, your bill discounting can be done using financial statements, bank statements, public domain information. Now in this, first of all, what you have to take is the hygiene information, which you can take from various public domain sources, which can give you the negative list, which includes willful defaulters, CDR suit, file applications, anything on the anchor client. The assessment can be done basis on the ratio analysis. You can have a DSCR calculated. You can get EBITDA, net margin profits, cash profits. You can get all these ratios from the financial statement analysis. Your GST analysis is important in this case to understand the transactions which you have done with your anchor clients. Now the bank statement acts as a validation for the transactions which are fetched via GST return, and they also check the number of days of credit after the invoice where you have received. So this forms the assessment part. Now your non-financial parameters will include your, the credit bureau reports, your bureau reports of the key promoters, what is the DPD history, what has been your association with your anchor client, whether you are at your owned or rented premises. These can be some non-financial parameters which you can add into your backend type. Now these can be just drop-down buttons for the applicant to decide. You can get the external credit ratings of the anchor as well as of the company which is applying. Now, basis on this, you can map this entire information and a decision for your bill discounting is ready to be taken. Because if you will see that manually also, we were doing these type of exercises, which was taking multiple days. Now, this process can take maybe a 40 to 45 minutes of an evaluation time today. Again, for a retail loan, you can simply do an assessment basis on the income tax return, bank statements, salary statements, and the credit bureau data, where you can get to know what is the income assessment from an income tax return for last 3 years. You can check the obligations from the bank statements. You can have a comparison being done between bank statements and the salary slips along with the variation percentage. You can definitely pull a credit bureau report to understand what is the DPD of the client, and eligibility based on your internal policies can be calculated there itself. These type of loans can also be digitized in any nature. So with this, I would just like to end today's presentation and would like to open the discussion for our Q&A section now. So I will be addressing one by one all the questions, and we'll try to address as many questions as we can by 4 o'clock. Post that, we can get back to all of you with the list of the questions and answers over the mail along with this presentation which we have here. Now, so we have the first question which says, customers having income through cash in case of a transporter which is not declared or documented in the bank statement or P&L. So how effective assessment can be done as per the actual income is higher? So in this case, like I explained, you can at least get to know what is the gap today. Now, if today I am a transporter and I come to you for a loan and I say that 60% of my business is being done through cash, how do you validate that that's 60% or that's 70% or even 80%? So you do an income assessment basis on the bank statements and ITR data, and you get to know that out of the 100, this is the percentage which is lying. So you don't only rely on the information being provided by the applicant, you can quickly cross-check this. The next question is also the same, where they say that the customer doesn't declare 100% in ITR or GST, nor is banking is fully shown. It is about 80%. How will the 20% considered and calculated? So the decisions which you today take are definitely or 100%, I do understand. But again, the answer will be the same to the first question, that the gap analysis is very important today. If a company's current accounts, let's say a company has 5 current accounts and the closing balance of 5 current accounts is 5 crores. Now this 5 crores should ideally match to your P&L's revenue minus receivables. Now imagine your revenue minus receivables is 10 crores. Now there's a 5 crore rupees of a gap, which is 100% difference between what has been declared in bank statements and ITR. So this gap study is very important. Okay, so next is, how can sales and purchase data be derived from GST site currently? Does it require customer consent, or do we have to ask for GST returns from the borrower manually? This is very much possible using the GST data from the GST site, but yes, there is a customer consent which is required. If you will take the manual GST returns from the client, those will just be the summaries which will not give you an invoice level calculation. So yes, a consent is very much required in this case. Next is, for any credit to the manufacturing or service enterprise, no quantitative data is available from financial reports as regards capacities, production, stock sales, RM consumptions, and utility consumptions for any meaningful assessment. yes, this is still a gap. So we are already, trying to write to all the regulators that if we can have the stock statements being standardized to certain extent. But if they are not, you can definitely today there are ways and means to identify what is the stock in your data which you have. You can directly take a stock statement and those can also be digitized today. There are fintech companies which provide analysis of stock statements and they map it with the financial statements as well. So next is the credit evaluation is digital, but the information being available to evaluate is dependent on the customer or the borrower willing to provide. That can't be automated. To an extent, the information has been automated. Now there are various policy guidelines which the government is coming up with. They have already, bring in India Stack, which is a API house for different types of data available. There are the negative news data is any which ways public domain data, so it is available. The consent-based data is only and only, I would say, in today's date is the bank statement, GST, and the ITR. So for these, the government is directly pushing the account aggregation facility where they are trying to relate all the bank accounts of the customer into a single place so that you can fetch the information from all the financial information providers in a single group. So probably in the next 4 to 5 months, you will get this stage also getting automated. How the system will identify the third party transaction. So the third parties are basically, first of all, identified using financial statement algorithms from the MCA, which can be, the companies where you have common directors, companies which are subsidiaries as per your financial statements. And then you can map all these to the bank statements to get this. So the next is, can it map against the credit policy of lending institution and give the list of deviations accepted when loan approved? Yes, it can definitely map against the credit policies of the lending institution. Then you can get all the red flags which are there in the client's account. Do you have any solution for digital signature of loan agreement, loan application? So yes, there are companies which, so directly ScoreMe is not having a digital signatures product. But yes, there are a lot of companies today which are providing e-signing, and e-stamps where you can use those particular modules to sign loan agreements. Please elaborate a bit on tools available for analysis for informal sector. So the informal sector credit can easily be evaluated, basis on your mobile number, which gives you a lot of information on the SMS transactions which the customer is doing. You can also check which demographics he is a part of, what geography he belongs to. So there is a lot of data available on the geographical analysis with respect to what is the income of that particular area, what is the average age of that particular area. So you can get a lot of behavioral data from different sources for this type of analysis. So bill discounting, one of key risk is same being bill discounted by more than one financer. How to mitigate this risk? So for this, you'll probably have to use the bank statements and the GST to map this, wherein you can directly get to know that how much is the difference between the raised and the filed bills of the customer. Usually, the ones which are being financed by more than one customers are the ones which are basically not declared in the GST data. Can historical data be used to develop predictive cash flows and can predict cash flows in the decision making? Yes, we can certainly do this. Now you can extrapolate your financial statement analysis information to make the projections for the next 3 years. So that can be done. So how to address first time buyers on retail loans like lending on commercial vehicle loans? So lending on commercial vehicle loans is basically, again, it's a secured lending, but yes, you can use a lot of information, as I told, on the bank statements of the customers. Although there will be no credit history of that customer, but yes, you can certainly check for what is the average balances he is maintaining, what are the check returns which he has been done. So what is the income of that customer? At least you can have the income assessment being limit of time, and this relates to the utilization being done on a quarterly basis, on a daily basis. What are the overdrawing dates? What is the overdrawing percentage? All the details are by default part of the analysis. Next is how validate ITR online. So this is being done based on the user credentials consent. So you'll have to ask the customer for the consent on this particular part, and then you can probably go towards this. Are these automations currently used by lenders, especially banks? If yes, who all are the using technology? See, technology is today being used by almost all the banks. I would not say even a single bank is not using technology. But yes, there are certain banks which have certainly taken a step forward, like HDFC, ICICI, City Union Bank, from the public sector's Union Bank of India. So where they have already created digital customer journey for their customers. So these are the banks where on the website only you can directly find out this form. It's called instant loan. So anywhere you can click on that, it takes you through a complete digital journey. And yes, it starts giving you the loans. Moreover, there are other banks, which have started giving loans basis on the bank account statement analysis of the existing customers, wherein they try and assimilate that what is the type of transactions you guys are doing and what is the type of balances you are maintaining. Accordingly, they come out with different offers when you log in into your net banking accounts. Can you link ODCC account to current account balance? Yes, you can certainly link that. You can merge both the output reports. Do you have any software to verify bank statements online? So verification of bank statements is something, which you're talking about an account verification criteria. That's not there, but you can certainly have what is the authenticity of a bank statement with respect to the downloaded one, where you can check whether this PDF document which the client has given to you has been fudged or not. Why we can't ask for cost and profitability data of individual products and services for assessing, scrutinizing cash flow of the company? You can definitely ask. So, and I don't think there is no barrier in asking of these particular types of questions here. So you can definitely get in a detailed cash flow basis on the cost and profitability data of individual. That's not an issue at all. So I think with this, we come towards an end of this particular session. And before I conclude, I will just like to thank all of you for joining in today. And also I would like to welcome you all towards tomorrow's session, which is on digital payments and use of technology in lending in India. And we have, two of the industry leaders who will be sharing their thoughts on this with us. So we'll be having Mr. Animesh Chauhan and Mr. A.P. Hota for this particular session. So looking forward to see you all tomorrow at the same time over here. By then, thank you so much, and stay indoors, stay safe, take care.